All right, folks, how the heck are you? I am Fastidious. Let's get right into it. I want to keep this brief because I've been streaming for over 4 straight hours today, and I just want to get you the information. I want to keep this video simple, and I want to get it out as quickly as possible. Should you summon for these guys right here, Yovar and Erlang Shen? This is definitely a good ancient summoning banner. The question is it good enough for the average player to summon on it? Some people, without a doubt, need to summon on this banner. If you don't know what I mean, I'm about to explain, but I think a lot of you already know where I'm headed. Yovar is the best GVG affiliation hero in the game. He is the highest BP mule or BP slave or whatever you want to call it in the game. Lords get bonuses, basically a multiplier upon their BP, whatever BP you build upon them, that scale very nicely and get better with each awakening. So for that reason, because Yovar already is a unit you can build a ton of BP onto, he is the best unit for BP in the game when it comes to GVG Demon Soldier affiliation. So if you're very serious about GVG, and I'm saying very here, you don't just want Yovar, you don't just want Yovar with some awakenings, you want A5 Yovar, and then maybe you want to work on another A5 Yovar or two. That really is kind of the state of GVG right now when it comes to affiliation. So for players like that, when Yovar's on a banner, you have to summon. But I'm getting that out of the way right now, 1 minute into the video, as you can see. So we've covered that, let's move on to everyone else. Is this good enough for everyone else? Well, if you're a spender, I'd say, at least a medium level spender, maybe you're spending $100 a month to much more than that. Definitely it could be worth throwing some summons at, especially if you already have some ancient saved. These are two very, very good units. Yovar is definitively, and it's not even close in my opinion, the best lord from his faction. His lord skill is the strongest. He is a lot more relevant and deployable than Araka. But that being said, he's not that good of a hero, unfortunately. He's like an above average marksman. He did recently just get buffed, so he is better now. And I would say he's noticeably better, but that buff, though it was good and it was significant and you can kind of feel the difference, it did not take him to like entirely new heights. He's not like a top tier marksman now. He's still just like an above average marksman. He's just better than he was before. So when it comes to burst, he is very relevant. He can deal more damage through his ultimate when he has more flying swords. He can have up to 12 of these at a time. Post buff, it's a lot easier to make sure he has 12 whenever he ults, which is really cool. But the actual damage outside of this burst is not that good. They did buff it a bit, but it's still just not that good. So he is a bit niche when it comes to him as a deployable unit. Not just a lord giving bonuses to your team, but someone you're actually putting on the battlefield and having do this, right? I mean, even in this ultimate animation, he's only killing one of these fools. Kind of insane, right? Like, this is no Cithra, this is no bonded Silas, this is not Yuri, right? He's just like a good single target marksman. There's bursty content where he's gonna shine. So like in Gear Aid 3, in the bottom right, obviously in Gear Aid 3, he's just phenomenal as a lord. He's the best lord for Gear Aid 3 in the game. But especially on the higher levels, stage 22, 23, 24, let me get myself out of the way so you can see what we're doing here. You can put him on this tile and he can help pick off those straggler units here. I've used him over here on the left if things fall apart with your AoE marksman. Maybe your Kai dies somehow, maybe your Nyx dies. He can do a couple pickoffs. That is something. But outside of that, he's just not that great of a hero. Like, he'll deal some damage in Semra, he'll deal some damage in the Drake. It's not nothing, but it's not really something. It's not something you're coveting. So you're going for him as a lord, and frankly, as dominant as he is, I don't find Starpiercers to be as OP a faction as they were maybe 8 months ago. I'm trying to think back, like whenever the Tower of Deception came out, they're really, really, really good there. That felt like the peak maybe of Starpiercers. But outside of that, he's just a phenomenal lord. I mean, Starpiercers are really good in anti-air arena, right? He's a very common lord there. But even that being said, he's not like tippy top meta for everything. It's just a very good alternate team, or what I like to call just off meta. Doesn't mean it's not an amazing dominant team, but you're just not going to see it everywhere. So I get maybe it's tied for what is the meta right now. So you can see last week's #1 team, shout out to Waxpaw, he got #1 with Yovar, but then you're going to see a ton of these Arbiter teams, right? This is actually an Araka team, so there's more variety in anti-air than we've seen in a long time. More Arbiters, there's some Yovar, there's more Arbiters, there's some Yovar, so it's kind of split. between these Piercer teams and these Arbiter teams, maybe even in the favor of Yovar a bit, just looking at the tippy top here. I'll let you guys make that determination. So definitely awesome. But if we actually focus in on what you're hunting for in a legendary lord, I think you're looking for absolutely tippy top units. And I would say Yovar's very close to that, but just a step below. So when you think of someone like an Ingrid or an Ezerith, or in my opinion, even a Nastia, they're better heroes, which makes them even more valuable since they're already phenomenal lords, where I just think Yovar's like one little step behind that. Even in anti-air arena, where we're seeing some dominance right now, he was on like, what, 7 of those top 12 or 13 teams, so close to 50%, probably a bit more, at least at the tippy top last week. He's always going to be everyone's last deployed unit. He's an afterthought. He is really just the lord there. He is a really good lord, and he is really dominant in a very strong faction when it comes to being that lord, but I don't think you should really be targeting him that aggressively on most accounts. That's not to say you shouldn't be going for him, right? So who should be going for him? Well, if you're not super speculative and you're not looking ahead to the future, he already ranks really high among the current ancient exclusive legendary lords we have in this game, right? Like certainly you would rank Ezerith and Praetus and Ingrid above him, but even after that, you could probably make arguments with units like Nastia and Cyrus and Valderon nowadays, to be honest. I think a lot of people could argue Yovar's more valuable than Valderon right now. So he is really relevant. So I'd say if you have Ingrid and you have Ingrid A3, and you're not just one of the many players in the game that are hyper-focused on getting A3 Ingrid, which I think most players that don't have her need to be, I would say everyone that doesn't have her, that should be their focus. But if you already have that covered, then you can look for other lords, right? I would certainly make the case that Ezerith is more important. Personally, I feel Nastia is more important right now just because boss content is so freaking essential, but especially if you're PvP oriented, right? He is an excellent lord for PvE as well, just because he's the best lord from a very relevant faction. And he's really good in PvP, right? One of the 3 arena modes. And then for GVG, he is so good for affiliation. Some people are even making use out of him on defense, him being the lord of a Piercer comp. But the key thing is going to be the amount of BP you can build upon him. I hope that informs you properly. I do think most people probably should skip it. And that's for one big reason. And that big reason is they told us in the roadmap that we're getting a new Arbiter Lord and we're getting a new Chaos Lord. So knowing that, I think it's hard to go for like an old OG who might be about to get power crept. Now, that's a big might, and that's very speculative. But in my opinion, unless you're really good on everything else and you've got some ancients to burn or you've got some money to spend, I don't think this is like a go out of your way banner, though it definitely is a very good one. I'm hearing it come out of my voice. I'm a little wishy-washy on this. I would say, gun to my head, my general advice is skip this. However, I think there are enough situations where a lot of people could justify going for it. Do I think you should justify going for it? I probably don't. One other big group of players are players that don't have a Raka, right? So you only have epic Piercer Lords or worse, no Piercer Lords. Then I think this is definitely something you should look into. Having a legendary Lord specifically from the Star Piercers is very valuable. You know, that jump is more valuable than a lot of jumps in this game. So I would say if you don't have a Raka, then this can be a lot more appealing. But all in all, I'd say he's like a class 2 legendary lord, which is still very high praise. He is very good. But with the current state of affairs in the game and the things they have teased that might be coming, I think it's hard to justify. The final thing actually you're going to want to think about is we're seeing more and more these OG factions, so the non-ancient exclusive factions. So all the factions in the game besides, I guess you can count the unnamables, but really besides the arbiters and the chaotic units, they're starting to get a third lord, right? We're seeing that more and more. First it was Nastia, then it was Ezerith, now we just saw Rivenhald. So that covers esotericists, cultists, and northerners. There are only 4 left. We do know, based on what they've been teasing through dev Q&A stuff and roadmap stuff, that they're planning a big new, like, I guess, promotion and development of the Infernal Blast faction. And they mentioned a new ancient exclusive lord for Infernals is coming. So that's probably next. But after that, we're looking at Watchers, we're looking at Nightmare, and we are looking at Piercer. I would guess Piercer will be next. So Yovar, amazing lord, solid hero, pretty good hero. You could see the next Piercer Lord being the Ezerith of the Piercers, meaning the best Lord and by far the best hero. So I think that kind of covers all my bases. I just wanted to explain why I'm not that high on this banner. I do think it's a skip for a lot of people. That being said, as we wrap things up, I would not fault anyone for summoning on this. Now, you may have noticed, I'm sure you did, I have not mentioned Erlang Shen once. I don't even think I've said his name besides introducing the banner. And that's for a simple reason. I don't think anyone should be summoning on Ancient exclusive banners or the non-Lord unit unless that non-Lord unit is Valara quality, right? That's kind of where I stand. I see the non-Lord unit as an extra incentive. It can be like a tiebreaker. It can be a nice cherry on top, an incredible consolation prize. Call it what you want to call it, but I don't think you summon on one of these banners seeking out the non-Lord unit. First off, it's very hard to hit them, and also, that's not how the game kind of works in terms of directing your summons. You have so much more power in the Lords. The Lords typically, outside of the very tippy top non-Lords, make a much bigger difference to your account. So I don't think anyone should be pulling on this because they're like, oh, Erlang Shen's so cool. He's a great unit. Oh, I want to get my Neza bond skill. I hear all that. I just don't think that's a good justification. Now, if you want to summon for Erlang Shen, do it. But if you're here for my advice, I just think next to no non-Lord Ancients are worth targeting on a banner. You pick these banners for the Lords, not the non-Lords. Valara obviously is in a league of her own, and frankly, if you don't have Valara, I would never summon on a banner for a non-Lord besides Valara's banner. It's as simple as that. Now, if you want to just hear 30 seconds on the virtues of Erlang Shen, he is phenomenal in anti-air arena. So many of those tippy top comps have him, whether those are Piercer comps or Arbiter comps, because he fits brilliantly into both of those teams as a DPS and a fantastic debuffer. So he's really, really, really good for that. He does get a nice bond skill from Neza, and he gives a really good bond skill to Neza. So that's really cool because Neza is one of the absolute strongest units in the entire game, end of sentence. And finally, he can work in a lot of places. He's not the greatest tank, but he does function as a tank. He's not the greatest DPS, but he is a pretty good DPS. And he's an excellent debuffer. So in content like Gear Aid 3, if you need a melee unit in the middle, he fills that role so well because he's bringing enough damage and he's putting out a ton of debuffs that are going to help your other marksmen take down those units in the center and make the whole thing better. In content like Abyss 1, he can even work because that Heaven's Gate, is that what it's called? Heaven's Gaze, excuse me. Heaven's Gate was a cult. No, Heaven's Gaze can put out continuous vulnerabilities that are very strong. This goes up to 20% with skill ups. Very, very strong increased damage mechanic. He's got defense break over here. All in all, it's just a very strong kit. He's one of the better non-Lord Ancients in the game, but he's just not that insane top tier, which is really Valara right now. So I'm not going to advise you to summon on this banner for him. That being said, if you were already going to summon for Yovar, Erlang Shen is an amazing consolation prize. He's a great extra bonus. Let's see if we get him kind of unit. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. GVGers, if you truly are obsessed with GVG and Guild Wars, you have to summon on this banner for Yovar. You want to keep summoning on it till you run out of Ancients. You want to get as many of those dupes as possible. And for everyone else, it really comes down to your account, but I'd say most people skip it. People who don't skip it, don't feel bad about it. It's definitely a good banner. You can enjoy summoning on it. Actually, the absolute last thing I want to say is when I was streaming today, we had a lot of players who were like, I've only been playing a couple weeks. I've only been playing 12 days. I've only been playing 2 months. And when it comes to players like that, because some of them were asking me if they should summon on this banner, the answer is always yes. If you've only been playing 2 months, unless you spent a ton of money, you're still looking for epic lords. So if there's a decent ancient banner, you have to summon on it, of course. That being said, if you already have Yovar, then yeah, maybe to skip. But most players at that level, if you're really fresh to this game, ancient summons are so much more important than just trying to get these rate up units. You have a very high chance to get epic lords. You have an 8% chance every pull, and that can be account changing when you're in the early and mid game just trying to progress through Watcher of Realms. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, please do subscribe to the channel, share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.